I can boldly say it was 1960, then Archbishop of Goa Dom Jose invited Father Antonio Rodrigues, who was a pioneer in this region, to preach a mission in Portuguese and also in Konkani in the parish in Panjim and surrounding areas. Later on, he was joined by the local Redemptorists like Osmond de Sousa, Desmond de Sousa, Franklin Lobo, and Gino Henriques and others.
In the 1960s, I was superior for a while in Chembur and later acting superior and helping out on the work of missions. It was during that time I felt that we should do something about our ministry in Goa, in Konkani, and the main leader of the ministry was Father Antonio Rodrigues.
They began preaching missions in Goa, in Konkani, in major cities like Vasco, Margao, Panjim, since 1969. And Father Jim Connolly asked Father Antonio to begin a foundation in Goa. Earlier days they stayed in a house called Casa Urbina, and later on Father Antonio Rodrigues himself donated his land to the Redemptorists and built a house in 1972. And since then Redemptorists have been in Goa, and prior to this, of course, in Chembur in Mumbai.
Having sold the idea to certain parish priests in the city of Mumbai, where we every year conducted parish missions. The parish priests were happy with what we did, and the news of our mission spread to other parishes. Invitations came in. And I would say this, from the time I began, for the next 10 years, Father Antonio Rodrigues and myself, occasionally Father Desmond de Sousa or one other priest would join me. We covered every parish, right from Colaba all the way through the city, way out at that time it was suburbs, Borivali.
When Father Lasso became the General Superior, he was more interested that Redemptorists reach out to the poorer people in their own languages, in their own cultural setting, and he began mooting the idea of regionalization based on 090, the statutes of our congregation. When he came to India to join our chapter in Bangalore, then 1993, a proposal in his presence was passed to have a foundation to begin what is called Western region.
When the general came, he said something beautiful. He said, I think we need to grow, and if we have to grow, we have to start by regions. Regions becoming into vice province, becoming into province. Because India is a big country, and if India is a big country, then if it is taken as whole, people will relax, and then you will not get vocations. It is only few guys who are going to do the vocation, and then it will not survive. But if it is made into small groups, then you have to survive.
We were told by the Irish and also by the Indian senior priests that, you know, when a baby is being born, there are times when you have to let the baby take its wings and walk and go away. So that was the process explained to us, that now that we are a Bangalore province and there are so many houses coming up in the whole of the country, it's time to make place for a baby, a unit. And that was those days the vice province establishment, but as a unit called the region of Mumbai.
During 1993 chapter, it was decided, 93 the midterm chapter, it was decided that Father Gino Henriques will be appointed to start the process of establishing a region. And Gino reported in 1996 chapter. In 1996 chapter, it was decided that we must establish Western region with by 1997, end up by 1997, Western region has to be established. That was the 96th chapter.
Some saw it as a natural outflow of a growth. Others who were keen on starting the province were talking about we want to be free from Bangalore. It is important why we do what we do, because in that lies the proper growth. If moving away was a reaction from the control of Bangalore, then that was not going to be a positive thing. But again, a few voices, let's not say they were all.
Some of my senior confreres were against it completely. If you remember, Clement Campos, they said this is a mistake, this is a mistake.
That time itself there was a question, what is the apostolate which you cannot do, Western region, by being in with the Bangalore province? That or what the apostolate you will do differently than what you are doing now? That question was not answered.
But on the other hand, the interest of confreres to take it into new places, and at that time there was also talk of starting it in Gujarat. Maybe that's one area that you could have really taken forward, because even while it was still part of the Bangalore, it continued to work in Konkani, in Marathi, primarily in these two regional dimensions that were there. Perhaps I think that whole aim of planting the congregation and spreading the charism in Gujarat would have seen a little more attention, a little more focus, because that was the justification also for starting a new unit.
When confreres made a choice to join there or here, then there were senior confreres who began to talk to them. I know, for example, I take my own brother's example, that there were senior confreres talking to him and saying, hey, come on, you know Marathi, you know Konkani, why you're coming to Bangalore? You stay on in Maharashtra and you'll do well. He had worked for 21 years in the parish of Chembur. Then he went on to Calcutta, which is the province of Bangalore. That's where he felt that since he was already there and he had held other jobs. So what we felt in the unit, if there are fathers who have held other jobs and they've done well, why are they going away from us? They should stay on and do the same kind of job.
It's, it's difficult when a very young, able-bodied guys are suddenly excised from a well-growing tree. You just cut a good branch and say, now this is grafted and you strive alone, and you become separate. I think that the feeling was felt that we are kind of giving away, not just territory, it didn't matter the territory so much, but the kind of men they were good men, and that just giving them leave to start on their own another unit, I don't think that looked very good. That's one of the reasons why I didn't join.
In the beginning, in 1993, rather 1989, when I was just ordained and came to Goa, Father Desmond de Sousa brought all the Konkani-speaking confreres in Porvorim, asking us what we could do to the people in the Western region according to our own languages, how we could reach out to them in our own capacities. And some of the young fathers then who joined this meeting was Father Tony Carodoz, Xavier Pinto, Desmond de Sousa, myself, and Vivian Moniz, Assisi Saldanha, Andrade. We began the idea to reach out to the peripheries in Goa. Much before this, when the Redemptorists were in Goa, they reached out to various people in their languages, especially through social apostolate like the fishermen's struggle and work with the migrants such as Father Tony, Father Xavier Pinto, Father Desmond were pioneers in this.
See, at that time, we had a lot of concentration in the vernacular, Konkani missions. Back to back Lent, 5 weeks of Lent, 5 missions, not every alternate. One would go there, visit, and then come and join again for the preaching actually. It was a hectic thing, but very enjoyable, and the missions were right along the coast from Bombay. I personally remember the number 14 missions in Bombay, 14 in Sindhudurg, Karwar area, and 14 in Goa, right up to Bhatkal. So 42 missions in Konkani alone. That time, besides this, missions you could go only at that time, only during Lenten period. We had not developed that concept of Advent missions. At other times, people are too busy to come for a mission. But where we scored, we had a lot of school retreats at other times, especially during the monsoons, July, August, September, a number of school retreats. I still remember so many notes that I had, the games that I had prepared, and which I handed over to somebody later on. I said, this is something I will never do again, maybe. But there was a lot of passion for that, and we felt fulfilled,
And as we delved into what are the social issues in Goa that we should get involved in, the first issue was the Ramponkars, the fishing communities on the coast, who were being harassed, who were being troubled by trawler owners. And we said to ourselves, well, we can't sit quiet. This is a great issue in Goa for us to stand with them. And one teacher was there at the Don Bosco school, Mr. Mathani Saldanha. Although from an aristocratic rich family, he had this heart for justice. So we teamed up with him, he teamed up with us, and we were part of the Goincha Ramponkaranso Ekvot from 1975. Leading with that, what really put us into the picture and wanted us to do more was the arrest that we created with the police, and we went to prison. So I was 4 days in Aguada after 1 day and a night in the police lockup. The motivation, the verve that we must carry on fighting. We must carry on standing by the poor fishermen. And we carried on with the movement. We had several picketings in Panjim. We had chain hunger strike for 370 days, one after the other, groups of fishermen, fisherwomen, and I must say, we really got involved at that level. In my seminary days, I had chosen to preach in Konkani. Training was given, I studied the language. Voice production was no problem under the Irish. We developed our voices, we stuck to the training. So naturally, we could preach. But that helped us a lot on the stages of social justice, in towns, in cities, on the international stage, talking to people, saying the right things, saying them clearly, saying them loudly. So we kept with that. So that was the combination of the preaching apostolate, not using the word missions. But Desmond was that kind of a man and a leader who said, this is the time we devote to our apostolate throughout the year, but in Lent we go to Bombay.
Just like Irish came to Bangalore, and now Bangalore is giving birth to the third region, there was a lot of positive support from our leadership. And it began with Father Jose in the beginning, in 1993, before we became region, and Father Gino Henriques when we became region 1999, and his successors like Father Xavier Sanjivi, Father Arulanandam, and all the other provincials of Bangalore have supported us in many, many ways.
I think in a way, in all the different, important moments, of our whole formation, I think we had the right people in Bangalore and in the provincial government in Bangalore. Because at that time, Henriques was the provincial, and he was totally for us, naturally. He was absolutely very much for us and very much for the process. So he was very, very helpful. So that's what I would say. So at every point we had provincials in Bangalore who were very, 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 positive and very helpful.
Alfonso said that if it is the work of God, it will continue.
I don't think we can say any of these are our contribution. It is purely divine intervention, I feel. And also what I noticed from the time we became region, the numbers went up steadily, and when we started the Varka philosophy, we had five of those members survived, and in one batch we had 5 ordination. So all this for me it is divine providence. It is not a human effort at all.
When the resolution was passed in 1993, the 2 communities of Porvorim and Chembur, the conference came together, and most of us were young. For 6 years we annually gathered, either for retreat or meetings, and at the end of the meetings, I remember all of us had a good time. There was so much brotherhood among us. Sing song was one of the part of these gatherings. Going out for a small picnic was part of the gathering. Prayer, of course, and a recollection or a retreat was part of this. So the relationship grew.
Even when we had just 2 houses, Chembur and Porvorim, there was a lot of meetings. There were a lot of meetings that happened, and that time I was in Bangalore. Gino was the provincial. So we had a lot of meeting which created this feeling of brotherhood. And then we had this, during my term, we had this motto, I think, which is forgotten today, is one community in 6 places. By the time we had 6 houses, So the whole concept was that we are not 6 communities in 6 places. We are one community in 6 places.
We began as a minuscule, and right now we have 62 members in our vice province, professed members we have. We just had 2 communities in Chembur and Porvorim. Right now we have 6 canonical communities and 2 residences. In terms of apostolate too, preaching has been our forte, as it were, all these years, but also there were a few confreres involving themselves in social apostolate and other ministries. But right now, with the migrant ministry being the missionary priority of our vice province, greater impetus has been given to this apostolate, and more confreres are actively getting involved in this ministry. So I think that is again a significant step ahead. We are in this digital age, and media ministry is another way wherein we have decided to reach out to the wider world, and that I think is something positive in this regard. So I think it is a big journey, a big step ahead.
Like, what is our future, I don't know. Because for me there seems to be a bit of doubt regarding the relationships among the members of this vice province. Externally they seem to be very happy and getting on very well. But this came to me as a surprise that so many so suddenly decided against becoming a province.
See, before we say what should be done in the future, I personally feel you must have an honest evaluation of what is happening in your vice province. Real, honest, external evaluation of apostolate, our Redemptorist, our consecrated life, community life. You must have a real honest evaluation at the of completing 25 years. Based on that data, you may look at it and reformulate your policies, reformulate your apostolate in the future.
The relationship shows the level of trust among the members, which I feel right now should deepen. So the emphasis, according to me, seems to be more on apostolic work outside the communities, but not so much within the community. As one general said a long time ago, our first apostolic activity should be within the community, building up that relationship. So we get on well, joking, laughing, everything. But to what extent is there trust in one another? That level of trust is very low, according to me.
Consecration must lead to mission. Sometimes we can be so involved in our work of the Lord that we forget the Lord of the work. And that can be a serious issue that will gradually, over a period of time, if a particular person is not careful, he can just become an NGO. And once a person becomes that, an NGO, he will listen to nobody. He is his own boss, and that shouldn't happen.
But today I feel that one of the challenges that we are facing is community, and I hope that this is taken seriously and some sort of a thing that we address. And what we need to address is to have these frequent meetings and also meetings in the community, in the community itself, to have this frequent meeting. See, those days what we used to have when I was in the government was even in the communities there were meetings where sharings used to happen. But unfortunately all these things are gone away. So the major challenge for me is the community.
The real challenge you people will face is that human resources. That was the real challenge you will face. Because a lot of people are getting old in your region. The same amount of intake is not there in vocation. So you will face a lot of problem. Personally, what I feel for your vice province is intensify the apostolate which you are doing instead of expansion. Expansion will not going to help your vice province at all. Because when you expand, you must have a manpower, where you don't have that manpower. So when you have no manpower, then all those communities will be very, very thinly manned. And it is not good at all for a Redemptorist way of life. So the best thing is, first of all, you must deepen the apostolate community life that you are having right now.
The hope, I think, is the young people. What I say is, do best what you think is best. But don't forget, a vision is needed, your energy is needed, and the last product where you want to arrive, that is needed. So that's the hope for the future.
And I don't think our younger converts should shy away from standing on the shoulders of those who have already gone before us. None of us starts afresh. Yeah, we can start afresh in the Lord, but when we do our work, in some way, we must connect to what others have done in the past. That continuity must be established. And I think if that happens, then I believe you have a chance of becoming a province in the years ahead.
And regarding our province, I think there's a lot of commitment needed. There is commitment, but I think a little more effort has to be done. So I pray that God's Spirit may be active, because it is not our work. It is God has chosen us, and we are the children, sons of St. Alphonsus. We have to walk in his footsteps. So whether it is Panodi mission, whether it is Mumbai mission, whether it is Konkani mission, we have to reach out to those who are neglected and give life, so that we can be proud members of the Redemptorists and we can have the crown of St. Alphonsus, which he has promised to every Redemptorist. I think there's a lot more we can do. No? Now, something beautiful was said by my community member, Father Xavier. He says, I am ready to continue. And then finding young conferers like Thomas Jackson ready to come. A place where nobody wanted to come because it was a secluded area, many want to come. And the beautiful things people say about Panodi, that the Redemptorist fathers have brought light into Panodi, a show into Panodi. In Marathi they say, Father तुम्ही शोभा दिलेली आहेत, तुमच्यामुळे शोभा आलेली आहे. So it's so nice to hear that. So that light has to continue.
New ministries and new possibilities, and that's something that you must celebrate. Because authentic ministries come in response to the needs of the poor, as you gave the example of Paunj or your presence in Panodi. I think what is important for us, no matter what we do, is to be faithful to the charism, because that marks our identity. It indicates what the Spirit has gifted us so that we make a contribution both to church and to society. It is to understand better what the charism is, because it is both explicit proclamation and concrete social action. And as long as we stay faithful to that charism, we will grow. If we remain stagnant, we will die. Because we've just gone into maintenance mode, we no longer are missionaries. And therefore, constantly the eagerness to be faithful to the charism is one important point. The second is the witness of our life of evangelical councils. To the extent that we take our poverty seriously expressed in the simplicity of our life. To the extent that we express our chastity as loving relationship that embrace all. And to the extent that our obedience comes from really seeking what is God asking of the Vice Province and of individual confreres. As long as we are faithful to the charism and to our evangelical council, the vows, there will always be hope.
Yeah, being the Vice Provincial for the last 1.5 years, I really admire the confreres for their dedication, for their commitment. I know each of our confreres is busy with so many things, so many activities. Yet, when requested, confreres set aside everything else and are there for the common mission. And that dedication, that kind of a commitment is something that I really look forward to, and that is again something that we as a unit can be proud of. We are where we are, it is because of the support and help of various people, especially our own benefactors who have stood by us right through these years of our existence. We also are grateful to the confreres who have been there right through the initial stages of our unit, who are no more with us. We pray for their eternal repose. In a way, we also need to express our gratitude to our regional superiors from the beginning, the vice provincials, and also the superiors, the formators, the parish priests, the members of various commissions and secretariats who really work to the best of their abilities and contribute to the maximum in being who we are today. Without their help, we would not be where we are today. So I personally am really grateful to all the confreres, both seniors and juniors, for their dedication, creativity, goodwill, and their contribution in every way to the Vice Province and also to the people in general. Dear confreres, we have made this 25 years of our journey, but the journey is still ahead of us. We have a long way to go. And I wish that all of us continue to dedicate ourselves wholeheartedly for this mission. And may God bless us all, and wish you all a very happy jubilee of our unit. Thank you.